Alright, so today we're going to focus on the three methods of improvements, and this goes within our different expenditures that can be created after already acquiring the asset. So the question states, Palmer Corporation replaced their air conditioning system in one of its office buildings that it leases to tenants. The cost of the old air conditioning system, $200,000, is included in the cost of the building. However, the company has separately depreciated the air conditioning system. Depreciation recorded up to the date of the replacement totaled $160,000, and the old system was removed and the new system installed at a cost of $230,000, which was paid in cash. Parts from the old system were sold for $12,000. So basically, improvement is a type of expenditure that replaces the component of an asset. So our asset would actually be our building, and the component is the air conditioning system. And because it increases future benefits, so the air conditioning system and the building can last longer, we are going to capitalize costs. So we're going to start off with our first method, which is called substitution. So within substitution, there's two parts. First off, we're going to dispose of the old components, which is our old air conditioning system. So we are going to say, so we sold it for $12,000 in cash. So here's our journal entry. First off, we received cash of $12,000. Next is we're going to get rid of the accumulated depreciation that this air conditioning system created within the building, which is $160,000. And then we don't know if there's a gain or a loss, so we're going to put G or L. And then over here is we're going to credit the asset buildings because we are disposing it for the original price, which is $200,000. So in order to find out if it is a gain or a loss, we're going to add up these values, and you get 172,000, and then compare it to 200,000. So because the original value is greater, you're actually experiencing a loss. So after subtracting these two numbers, you would receive a loss on disposal of 28,000. So that is your first step, is disposing of the old component. And your second step is to acquire the new component. So our new air conditioning system. So here's our journal entry. When we bought it, we would debit buildings. So it increases the value of our asset, and decrease cash because that is what we paid for it with. And we would just use the original cost of $230,000. Here's $230,000. And that would be our two journal entries for substitution. And moving on to our second method. It's called the capitalization of our new cost. And so what the capitalization of new cost means is, instead of creating this whole two journal entries, we are only going to change the value of the building's asset, because by replacing the component, we're actually increasing the value of the asset. So how we're going to do that is, here's our journal entry. It's going to be buildings. We're going to debit buildings. We're going to capitalize the cost that it takes to increase the value, increase future benefits, and then decrease our cash count because that's what we paid with. So in order to get how much we would put as a number, we would take how much we paid for it, which is $230,000, subtracted by the gain that we receive for the parts of our old component, which is $12,000, and you would arrive at $218,000. And so that would be your value over here for your journal accounts. And next we're going to move on to our third method, which is called reduction of accumulated depreciation. So in this method, instead of even changing the buildings account, we are just going to reduce the amount of accumulated depreciation that has been created through the buildings that has been directly affected by the air conditioning unit. So here we are going to increase our accumulated depreciation because remember it's originally a liability. So by debiting it, we would take away basically what we had before, some of what we had before. And since you paid for it with cash, we would use cash, and we're actually going to use the same amount up here because that is the amount that we will be erasing of our depreciation, basically increasing the amount of future depreciation it could have potentially. And so these are basically an overview of what the three methods in order to create journal entries for improvements are. So to go over them, substitution is the first method that we went over. And so under substitution, we would dispose of the old component and we would acquire the new component. So we would be changing the asset account of buildings twice. First off, we would take away the old component and then add in our new component. Our second method was capitalization of the new cost. And in here, we're including the cost of the improvement as a debit to the related asset account, which is buildings. And the original cost and accumulated depreciation of the original component are not removed. And this method is acceptable only if the book value of the original component has been reduced to an immaterial amount through prior depreciation. So that all depends on the case facts. And so our third method is reduction of accumulated depreciation. And so through this method, our asset account is left unaltered, but its related accumulated depreciation is decreased. And we can actually label it under buildings. And the book value is the same as in our second method, the capitalization of cost method, but the cost and the accumulated depreciation amounts differ under both methods. And so that is our overview of the three methods of capitalizing improvement costs.